Colossal stone heads, the forgotten Olmecs. Imagine hacking through a steamy, vine-choked jungle in southern Mexico, mosquitoes buzzing, sweat stinging your eyes, when you stumble on a stone face so massive it looms like a god, its carved eyes boring into you like they've been waiting 3,000 years to spill their secrets. These are the Olmec colossal heads, crafted by a civilization so ancient it makes the Maya look like they're just getting started. The Olmecs, thriving from 1500 BC to 400 BC, were Mesoamerica's first titans, building cities, inventing writing, and shaping gods that still haunt Aztec and Maya myths. But who were these people? Why carve heads heavier than 2 school buses? And could they have been sailors, linking continents when the world was supposedly split by oceans? I'm the Ancientologist, and I spend my time uncovering the parts of history they don't teach in school. Today, we're plunging into the enigma of the Olmecs, peeling back the jungle to reveal a civilization as colossal as their sculptures. Smash that like button and subscribe to join this epic quest. You're not going to want to miss a single second. The giants in the jungle. Let's dive into the humid, buzzing lowlands of Veracruz and Tabasco, where the Olmecs built their world over 3,000 years ago in a swampy region they called Olmen, the land of rubber. In cities like San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes, they raised planned urban centers with stepped pyramids, ceremonial plazas, and elite tombs packed with jade offerings. Their most jaw-dropping creations, though, are the colossal heads, 17 massive basalt sculptures, each 5 to 11 feet tall, weighing 6 to 50 tons. First uncovered in 1862 at Tres Zapotes, these heads stunned archaeologists who'd pegged the Maya as Mesoamerica's first stars. Carved with eerie realism, broad noses, full lips, furrowed brows, often sporting helmets like ancient warriors, they're like portraits frozen in time. Each head's unique, maybe immortalizing rulers or gods. Picture yourself, machete in hand, heart pounding, locking eyes with a stone giant half buried in vines. What kind of people carve faces to stare down eternity? What's your take on those unblinking stone gazes? The mother culture. The Olmecs weren't just another ancient crew. They were the mother culture of Mesoamerica, the spark that lit a fire under the Maya, Zapotec, Toltecs, and Aztecs. From 1500 BC, they built urban hubs like La Venta, where a 100-foot Great Pyramid, stepped and rectangular, set the template for every Mesoamerican city that followed. They pioneered the long count calendar, a system so precise it tracked time across millennia, and a proto-writing system with glyphs that whisper stories we can't yet read. Their ball game, played with rubber balls tapped from Olmen's trees, wasn't just sport. It was a cosmic ritual, pitting life against death. Maize, domesticated from Teosinte around 7000 BC, fueled their cities, while cacao gave us chocolate. Yep, the Olmecs are why we have cocoa, a gift to humanity. Their influence stretched from Guatemala to Costa Rica, shaping a continent's soul. Imagine a civilization so bold it rewrote history's playbook. How'd they become such a cultural juggernaut, planting seeds for empires? The colossal heads. Let's zero in on those colossal heads, the Olmecs' most iconic legacy. Each one's carved from a single basalt boulder, hauled 90 kilometers from the Tuxtla Mountains through swamps, rivers, and hills. No oxen, no wheels, just raw human grit, maybe rafts on the winding Coatzacoalcos River. The largest, at Tres Zapotes, weighs 50 tons, think 2 school buses stacked, and towers 11 feet tall. Their realism is uncanny. Flat noses, full lips, fierce frowns, each head unique, likely portraits of rulers, maybe deified after death. Some wear helmets with straps, others bear scars or symbols, hinting at individual stories. Scholars like Richard Deal argue they're Native American faces, matching Veracruz locals, but others, like Ivan van Sertima, see African traits, broad noses, thick lips, sparking wild debates about ancient voyagers. Picture workers chanting under a blazing sun, dragging a boulder bigger than a house, then chiseling it to immortalize a king. What would you feel, standing under that stone stair, knowing it took a civilization's heart to raise it? What's your guess on who these faces were meant to be? Olmen, land of rubber and jade. The Olmecs' homeland, Olmen, was a swampy stretch of Mexico's Gulf Coast, where rubber trees dripped latex and cacao pods promised chocolate. By 1500 BC, they were tapping rubber for balls, carving jade into delicate figurines, and trading obsidian for blades sharp enough to slice through bone. Sites like Chalcatzingo and Teopantecuanitlan show their reach, with cliff carvings of jaguars, maize gods, and warriors etched into sacred mountains. Their trade network spanned from Guatemala to Costa Rica, swapping fine pottery, salt, and feathers for jade, serpentine, and iron ore for polished mirrors. This wasn't just commerce, it was a cultural highway, spreading Olmec art, religion, and ideas across Mesoamerica. Picture a bustling market in La Venta, merchants haggling over greenstone while priests chant to the maize god nearby. How'd they weave a network that tied a continent together, making Olmen the heart of an ancient web? The art of the Olmecs. Olmec art isn't just gorgeous, it's a window into their soul, a story told in stone and jade. Beyond the colossal heads, they carved massive thrones, once miscalled altars, some weighing 40 tons, depicting rulers emerging from caves, clutching jaguar babies or ropes tied to captives. The wrestler, a dynamic stone figure, captures motion like a frozen dance, rare in Mesoamerica's stiff sculptures. Jade figurines from La Venta, posed in cryptic scenes, maybe myths, maybe rituals, tease us with their mystery. Their style, blending realism with symbolism, gave us snarling were-jaguars, feathered serpents, and chubby babies that became gods like Quetzalcoatl. From greenstone axes to cave paintings in Juxtlahuaca, every piece screams sophistication, a mastery of craft that humbles modern artists. Picture a sculptor, torch flickering, chiseling basalt to tell a tale for eternity. What stories were they carving into stone? What do you think those jaguar babies meant to them? Gods and shamans. The Olmecs didn't just build, they worshipped with a fire that shaped Mesoamerica's spiritual core. Their art is packed with clues. Were-jaguars, half-human, half-beast figures with snarling mouths and claws, suggest shamans transforming via hallucinogens to slip into the spirit world. Caves, seen as portals to the supernatural, appear in thrones and cliff carvings at Juxtlahuaca, where a painted figure binds a captive. The La Mojara stela shows a ruler with glyphs of gods. Quetzalcoatl, the maize god, the fire serpent, early seeds of the Mesoamerican pantheon. Bloodletting, using stingray spines found in La Venta tombs, let priests and kings commune with ancestors, offering blood to sway the divine. The hero twins, later stars of the Maya's Popol Vuh, appear as Olmec statues, hinting at myths born in Olmen. Imagine a shaman, eyes wild, piercing their tongue under a smoky sky, calling to gods or spirits. What kind of faith drove them to bleed for the heavens, to bridge worlds? The ball game ritual. The Olmec ball game wasn't a casual kick-around. It was a cosmic showdown, life versus death, good versus evil, played out in sweat and blood. As early as 1500 BC, they crafted solid rubber balls from Olmen's trees, found at sites like El Manatee. No ball courts have been uncovered, but these balls prove they played, maybe in open plazas. The game spread across Mesoamerica, with eye-shaped courts from Arizona to Panama. Players, padded in heavy gear, bounced 10-pound balls with their hips, and losers, sometimes the captain, faced sacrifice, their blood feeding the gods to keep the cosmos spinning. Carvings show warriors mid-game, crowds roaring, the air thick with tension. Picture yourself in the stands, heart racing as a ball soars, knowing death waits for the defeated. How'd a game become a sacred ritual that gripped a continent for millennia? The writing riddle. The Olmecs were among the first in the Americas to write, leaving glyphs that taunt us with their silence. The Cascajal block found near San Lorenzo around 900 BC shows 62 symbols, maybe a protoscript, maybe a dead end that never evolved. The La Mojara stela, from 150 BC, depicts a ruler with a long, undeciphered inscription, its glyphs hinting at tales of kings or gods. Cylinder seals and greenstone fragments, like those from La Venta, show early writing that influenced Maya and Zapotec scripts. Their long count calendar, with dates like 32 BC on a Tres Zapotes stela, tracked time with a precision that'd make modern astronomers jealous, underpinning Mesoamerican ritual life. Picture a scribe hunched by firelight, etching glyphs on a jade plaque, recording a king's reign or a cosmic event. What would you give to crack those ancient codes, to hear the Olmec's voice after 3,000 years? What's your hunch on what those glyphs were meant to say? Transoceanic travelers? Here's where things get wild enough to make your head spin. Some, like Ivan van Sertima, argue the colossal heads' broad noses and full lips scream African voyagers, maybe Phoenicians or Nubians, sailing to Mexico around 900 BC. Monument 13, the Traveler, shows a bearded figure in a turban, boots, and a flag, traits rare in the Americas but common in the Old World, like Nile Valley pots from 3000 BC. Others see Polynesian or Asian features in Olmec art, like almond-shaped eyes or the handbag motif on Monument 19, echoing Göbekli Tepe's T-pillars 11,600 years ago. Diffusionists argue Olmen was a global hub, with ships riding Atlantic currents from Gibraltar to the Gulf of Mexico. Mainstream scholars like Richard Deal call this nonsense, insisting the Olmecs were locals, their features matching Veracruz natives, and no Old World artifacts, like Egyptian beads or Chinese bronzes, have been found. Picture a storm-battered Phoenician ship landing in Olmen's swamps, its crew greeted by Olmec priests. Could strangers have mingled here, swapping stories and symbols? What's your take on this global mystery? Moving the unmovable. How do you haul a 50-ton basalt head 90 kilometers through swamps, rivers, and mountains with no wheels or beasts of burden? That's the Olmec engineering puzzle that'd make your jaw drop. The Tuxtla Mountains, the nearest basalt source, were a brutal trek away, 90 kilometers as the crow flies, farther through tangled terrain. Nautical engineers at the Maya Exploration Center tested raft sizes and found small balsa rafts would sink under a 6-ton head, let alone 50. Were they dragged overland on logs, rolled by hundreds of workers, or floated on massive rafts we can't even imagine? Unfinished heads at quarry sites show they started carving on site, roughing out the shape before the long haul to cities like San Lorenzo. Picture 1,000 workers, ropes taut, voices chanting in rhythm, hauling a boulder bigger than a house through a jungle alive with jaguars. How'd they solve that logistical nightmare, moving mountains with nothing but grit? The Olmec Reach. The Olmecs weren't hermits, they were road warriors, their influence stretching from El Salvador to Costa Rica, maybe beyond. Chalcatzingo's cliff carvings depict maize gods and jaguars, sacred symbols etched into mountains. Juxtlahuaca's cave paintings show a warrior binding a captive, a feathered serpent coiling nearby. Olmec-style artifacts, jade figurines, fine pottery, greenstone axes, turn up in Guatemala. Even Costa Rica's mysterious granite spheres, which some whisper are Olmec handiwork. They traded jade, obsidian, feathers, and cacao, building a network that linked distant peoples. Carvings of armed figures hint at a warrior tradition, but trade goods scream peaceful exchange. Was this a merchant empire, a conquering force, or both? Picture an Olmec trader, paddle slicing through a river, carrying jade to far-off allies under a scorching sun. How far did their reach extend, and what fueled it? Trade, war, or something deeper? The decline of Olmen. By 400 BC, Levanta was a ghost town, its Great Pyramid eroding, its colossal heads buried, maybe deliberately, as if to hide them from invaders or time itself. Why did the Olmecs fade? Some point to climate shifts drying their maize fields, starving their cities. Others suggest internal strife, rival chiefs tearing Olmen apart, or invasions by jealous neighbors. Resource depletion, like overharvested rubber or jade, could have choked their economy. Sites like Tres Zapotes lingered until 100 AD, but the Olmec spark dimmed, their cities swallowed by jungle. Yet their legacy burned on in the Maya, Zapotec, and Aztecs, who built on their calendar, gods, and urban designs. Were they absorbed by rising cultures, or did they scatter, their secrets buried with their heads? Picture a city gone silent, vines creeping over stone faces, the air heavy with forgotten dreams. What could topple a civilization that moved mountains? A cosmopolitical hub? What if Olmen wasn't just Mesoamerica's cradle but a global crossroads, a bustling hub where continents collided? Diffusionists like David Hatcher Childress see the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, Mexico's narrowest point between the Gulf and Pacific, as a trade nexus. Olmec art, with its varied faces, Negroid, Polynesian, even Oriental, hints at a melting pot. The handbag motif on Monument 19, echoing Göbekli Tepe's T-pillars from 11,600 years ago, suggests shared symbols across oceans. Costa Rica's granite spheres, Guatemala's Olmec-style carvings, and the traveler's turban and boots fuel speculation of far-flung connections. Atlantic currents could have carried Phoenician ships to Olmen. Pacific winds might have brought Polynesians. Mainstream scholars dismiss this, citing no concrete Old World artifacts, but the Olmec's sudden sophistication, writing, calendars, 50-ton sculptures, begs questions. Picture Olmen as an ancient port, ships from Africa or Asia unloading ideas alongside jade, priests swapping myths under starlit skies. Could Olmen have been the ancient world's grand central station? The enduring enigma. The Olmecs are a riddle that'll keep you pacing the jungle floor, chasing shadows in the dark. Who were these people, carving 50-ton heads with nothing but stone tools? How'd they invent writing, calendars, and gods that shaped a continent? Were they locals, their faces rooted in Veracruz's soil, or did sailors from Africa, Asia, or beyond mingle in Olmen's swamps, leaving traces in stone? The colossal heads, silent glyphs, buried thrones, they're a message we're still scrambling to read, a challenge to everything we think we know about ancient humans. The Olmecs don't just reveal Mesoamerica's dawn, they dare us to rethink the ancient world, to imagine a past wilder, weirder, and more connected than we've been taught. Their stone eyes still watch, daring us to dig deeper, to listen harder. What's your theory on their deepest secret? What drove them to carve giants, to dream of the cosmos, to leave a legacy that still grabs us by the soul? The Olmecs are more than stoneheads in a jungle. They're a mystery that hooks you deep, a tale of genius, faith, and secrets buried in Olmen's swamps. Their colossal sculptures, their gods, their far-reaching influence don't just show us the past. They beg us to keep digging, to chase the truth through vines, shadows, and silent glyphs. Which piece of this puzzle's got you hooked? The giant heads, the transoceanic debate, the lost writing, or the civilization that sparked Mesoamerica? Share your ideas in the comments and let's keep unraveling the enigma of the forgotten Olmecs. Catch you in the next one.